There is quite a big social media row about sexism and feminism after a female barrister gave a very public ticking off to a senior lawyer, male lawyer, who complimented her LinkedIn picture. The lawyer told 27-year-old Charlotte Proudman that her picture was stunning, but the compliment wasn't appreciated. Here's the full exchange between the two. Charlotte, delighted to connect. I appreciate that this is politically incorrect, but that is a stunning picture. You definitely win the prize for the best LinkedIn picture I have ever seen. Always interested to understand people's skills and how we might work together. Charlotte Proudman responded, Alex, I find your message offensive. I'm on LinkedIn for business purposes, not to be approached about my physical appearance or to be objectified by sexist men. The eroticisation of women's physical appearance is a way of exercising power over women. It silences women's professional attributes as their physical appearance becomes the subject. She went on to say it was unacceptable and misogynistic behaviour. Think twice before sending another woman half your age such a sexist message. Well, let's talk to Charlotte Proudman now. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Victoria.
Tell us why you posted on Twitter what that lawyer had sent to you and why you shamed him in the way you did.
I wanted to hear from other women whether they have experienced sexism in professional spaces, not only online, but also in the workplace. And I did that following on from the Everyday Sexism campaign, where women were very vocal in speaking about their own experiences and sharing their own stories to create a collective sense of identity. However, I wanted to take this to the next step. I wanted to say to women, let's call this out, women and men, and let's support each other in doing that. It's all very well having a public discourse about what sexism is, the fact that sexism exists, but now we need to take the next step. We need to call it out wherever and whenever we see it and hear it.
Can you explain why you think it's... Sorry to interrupt, Charlotte. Can you explain why you think it's sexist if somebody says your photograph is stunning?
In the context in which that message was sent, it was on a professional networking site, LinkedIn. I am on that site, as I stated in the message, for professional purposes. I am seeking career advancement and sharing my skills and experience with others. I am not on there to be objectified through my physical appearance or through my body. And women all too often are seen through their body as opposed to their own skills and expertise. And that's something that we need to change as a society.
The Daily Mail today have described you as a feminazi.
I think it's very saddening because that kind of rhetoric sets us back many years. It means that women will not come forward and women will not call out sexism, or at least they'll be reluctant to do so because they'll fear the consequences, fearing career suicide and negative vitriol, which is sent on Twitter. And I have certainly been at the brunt of.
Why? What kind of trolling have you had on Twitter?
I've had some very nasty and sinister messages which have been sent to me on Twitter.
Like what?
Reiterating my public, my appearance, discussing that in some detail in very crude and sexualized language. And it serves nothing more than to silence women and prevent them from coming forward and calling this kind of sexism out. Despite the fact that I have received this misogynistic backlash, I'm still determined to put sexism on the public agenda because it's rife within the legal profession. And we know that through a Bar Council report that was published this year, which said that sexism is rampant at the bar. And this is amongst legal professionals who are entrusted and in a position in which they're expected to not only uphold the law, and that includes equality legislation, but to respect the legal principles which that enshrines, instead of undermining that.
Okay. What were the sinister messages you received on social media?
I don't want to reiterate them now through the radio. What I do want to concentrate on is the positives, in that women have come forward and have called out sexism, and it's certainly obviously struck a chord with women.
Do you mind me asking if they were sinister enough for you to contact the police?
It's something that I'll be considering, but at this stage what I've done is block them from Twitter.
Okay. But were they making threats to your safety?
It was just incredibly unpleasant, and it would depend on how you interpreted that information, and we'll just have to wait and see what happens as we go forward.
Anthony Carter-Silk, the lawyer who said that your picture on LinkedIn was stunning, declined to talk to us, but a spokesman for his law firm, Brown Rudnick, where he's head of European intellectual property, said, "We're aware of the comments made by a member of the firm on a private social media account. We have apologised for the offence caused and have no further comment to make." Is it enough that this lawyer has apologised to you?
The lawyer in question has apologised for the offence of which I have taken. So he apologises for the fact that I have been offended, as opposed to apologising for the sexist message and acknowledging the wrong of which he has committed and taking individual responsibility for his actions. And I want an apology for that sexist message and acknowledgement of that wrong.
And if you don't get that?
We'll just have to wait and see. I mean, I've made a complaint and I shall see how that progresses.
And to whom have you made that complaint?
The CEO.
The what, sorry?
The CEO.
Of his law firm. Yeah. Let me bring in Matthew Scott, Charlotte Proudman. Let me introduce you to him. Matthew Scott, who's a barrister and blogger. Charlotte Proudman says sexism is rampant in the legal profession. Is that right?
Well, I think there is sexism in the legal profession. I don't think it's particularly rampant. I think it's a great deal better than it used to be.
And what do you think of what Anthony Carter-Silk has done, commenting on Charlotte Proudman's photograph on LinkedIn and describing it as stunning?
Well, I think we have to look at how this developed. Charlotte sent him a message. I'm not very familiar with the way LinkedIn works, but as I understand it, Charlotte sent him a message asking him to connect. So the initial contact was made by Charlotte. Alex then
That's how it works.
Replied,
it's completely normal, yeah.
Alex then replied, complimenting her on her stunning picture. And I suppose it was rather a gauche and foolish thing for him to do. But I think Charlotte's reaction is unnecessarily severe. She has publicised what he would have expected would be a private exchange. He has been, as she has been, now subjected to a torrent of comment and no doubt abuse on Twitter, just as she has been. And I don't think that's really fair on him.
Charlotte Proudman?
I don't think his crime, if crime is what it was, justifies the reaction that it seems to provoke from Charlotte.
What I'll say is this. Sexism is harmful to women. It's a form of violence against women and girls. We know that through a recent study that was conducted by the University of Melbourne, which says that sexism, whether overt or covert, damages women's health. And at some point we need to take a stand against that. Not once did you mention the fact that this was sexist behaviour. And in my view, sexism feeds further into misogynistic values. And that's something that I want to call out.
OK, thank you both very much. Thanks for talking. Go on, quick final word, Matthew, if you like.
If a man wants to approach a woman because he finds her attractive, the mere fact that it's at work or through LinkedIn doesn't make that a sexist remark at all. It's perfectly natural behaviour. And I really think for Charlotte to say that because of some study from the University of Melbourne, this proves that it's damaging to her or to women generally is really quite absurd.
I think that your comments highlight the problem, the deep-rooted nature of sexism at the bar.
Go on, do you want to respond or not, Matthew? No, I don't think you can hear me now. No, Charlotte, thank you very much for talking to us. Charlotte Proudman, thank you. Mrs F has texted to say, I think it's absolutely inappropriate to comment on somebody's looks via LinkedIn unless that person is a model or works in the field of fashion. It's borderline sexual harassment. Would you speak to the MD of your company like that? If not, then it isn't appropriate for anyone else. Go to the pub to chat up, ladies. Leave LinkedIn to the professionals. I am shocked. Novel on WhatsApp says, "Well done, Charlotte. I've been in the same boat. Amazing that so many men seem to think it's acceptable." And Tahira has WhatsApped to say, "I'm amazed that a woman who gets complimented on her appearance can turn it around like this. If she didn't want to be noticed for looking good, then maybe she should have put on a less flattering photo."
You didn't frankly have the balls to put country before party.